Have you ever run a big Nuclei scan, seen the results finish, and just felt that pit in your stomach? You know, that flood of findings that could be the discovery of a lifetime, or more likely, a weekend-ruining wild goose chase. Well, today, we're going to talk about how to fix that. We're going to turn that stress and chaos into a measurable system, a playbook for precision.
Yeah, that feeling. It's real. Hundreds, maybe thousands of findings pop up, and you have no idea if you just struck gold or if you're about to start a long, frustrating journey of clicking open in browser over and over again, only to find, well, nothing. We've all been there. It's exhausting.
So let's be super clear about the goal here. The point isn't just to slash the number of alerts we get. The real objective is to increase the quality of every single one. We want to get to a place where every alert has a high probability of being true. We want higher truth density. You know, discovery can be messy, that's fine, but confirmation, that needs to be incredibly precise.
I have a confession to make. The first time I ran Nuclei at scale, I thought the massive number of hits was a huge success. I was so excited. Then I spent an entire weekend chasing what I thought were vulnerabilities, but they were all just the same CDN error page, just, wearing slightly different outfits. That taught me a very painful lesson. High output absolutely does not mean high signal.
Here's the thing, right? Nuclei isn't actually lying to you. It's more like a very, very literal assistant. It does exactly what you tell it to. So if your template says, hey, match this if the body contains the word welcome, Nuclei will cheerfully come back and say, okay, I found it on about half the internet. So it's on us to understand why this happens. It's time to name the monsters that cause these problems. Let's quickly run through these culprits. First, you've got banner coincidences. That's when a super generic word like error or admin on a totally unrelated page triggers your alert. Then there are redirect mirages, where you hit a target, get bounced to a generic SSO login page, and that login page just happens to match your template. WAF reflections. Oh, these are sneaky. This is when a WAF blocks your request and helpfully echoes part of your payload back at you, tricking your scanner. CDN edge sameness is that problem I had. One shared error page from a service like Cloudflare triggering the same finding on dozens of different hosts. And finally, cache ghosts, where you get a hit on some old, stale content that isn't even really there anymore.
But really, almost all of those problems boil down to this one core concept: single signal matching. It's when we build a template that relies on just one piece of evidence. Maybe it's just a word in the body or just a 200 OK status code. In the clean world of a lab, that might work. But out in the real, messy internet, that single clue is just too easy to fake by accident. I love this quote because it just nails the feeling we're after. A weak, single signal match feels random. It's a coincidence, like a coin flip. But a strong, high-confidence match, that feels different. It feels precise. It feels like a key turning in a lock. Unmistakable. So how do we get that lock-clicking feeling every time? We do it by building what's called an evidence stack. The idea is simple. We stop trusting one single clue and instead start requiring multiple, independent pieces of evidence to all line up perfectly before we even think about calling it a finding.
Let's make this really concrete. On the left, you see a weak matcher. It's just looking for the word welcome. That thing is going to fire all over the place. Now look at the right. That's a strong matcher. It requires three things to be true at the same time. The status has to be 200 OK, a specific server header has to be present, and a much more unique string has to be in the body. See the difference? One's a guess, the other is basically a fingerprint.
You can think of it as a simple three-part test for your templates. First, the status code check. Is the server responding the way you'd expect for this vulnerability? Second, the header fingerprint. Do the headers give you a clue that you're talking to the right technology? And third, the unique body pattern. Is there something in the page source that's really specific to this issue? If you get a yes on all three, you've got a high-confidence finding.
But you know what? Even before you get to matching, your first line of defense is just smarter scoping. Honestly, most noise comes from running the wrong templates against the wrong targets. Stop treating your template library like an all-you-can-eat buffet. Be specific. Use tech tags like Apache or WordPress, and start maintaining your own internal lists of which templates you trust and which ones need to be quarantined for manual review. Okay, let's talk about something that is so critical but almost always gets skipped: negative matching. Seriously, think of this as the seatbelt for your scanner. It's all about proactively telling the template what not to match, like common error pages or WAF blocks. This quote came from a real-life situation where a template kept firing because a WAF was blocking the request, and its block page actually included a piece of our payload.
The template saw the payload and thought it succeeded, but it wasn't a VON. It was just the WAF, like a bouncer at a club yelling our name back at us as it was kicking us out the door. So you have to actively teach your templates to say no. Build in conditions that add this anti-evidence. For example, explicitly exclude responses that contain 404 not found, or WAF signatures like access denied or incident ID, and definitely exclude those login redirect pages that prove your payload never even got where it was supposed to go. And redirects, oh man, redirects are where good signals go to die. Your redirects policy can't just be the default setting. It has to be a conscious choice. So when should you follow them? It's great for fingerprinting or looking for well-known files, but when should you not? When you're trying to confirm a vulnerability, especially if you know your targets love to bounce everything to a central SSO page, that's just asking for a false positive. Okay, so we've covered a bunch of individual tactics. Now let's put it all together. Because the goal isn't just to be a hero who fixes one bad template. The goal is to build a repeatable, sustainable system that keeps all of your templates in a high-precision state. And this is what that system looks like. It's a simple three-stage flow. First, you pre-filter. You narrow down your targets using basic stuff like open ports or technology hints. Then, in stage 2, you fingerprint. You run very specific templates just to confirm what technology you're looking at. And only then, in the final confirm stage, do you run your heavy-hitting vulnerability templates, the ones with strong evidence stacks and negative matchers. I'm going to give you a hard, data-driven rule you can use immediately. Start tracking the precision of your templates. That's just the number of confirmed true positives divided by the total number of matches. If a template's precision score drops below 40%, just stop. Stop trying to perfect its rejects, demote it, move it to a discovery-only folder where it requires manual triage. And that leads to this, which is a bit counterintuitive, but really, really important. Your most effective tuning strategy often isn't about spending hours polishing every single rejects. It's about smart routing. It's about deciding which templates have earned the right to be in the auto-triage path and which ones need a human to look at them. So what's the big takeaway from all this? You can absolutely cure that sinking feeling in your stomach. The path isn't scanning less, it's proving more. So here's the final thought I'll leave you with. Are you ready to get started? Go find your single, noisiest, most annoying template. I want you to add just one extra piece of evidence to its stack and one negative matcher. You can do it today. And that's how you start building a more precise and, frankly, a much less stressful scanning system.